What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here with Shackcast episode 40. Special guest Andrew Alliance is joining us today. We're going to talk about some gaming news stuff from Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Metal Gear Solid, Xbox third-party preview, and more. Lots of exciting things to discuss on the episode. I want to note here that we hosted this live on Twitter Spaces. So if you would like to follow us both on Twitter, we're definitely growing on that platform over there, and we want to have discussions. We want to allow people that are well-behaved, calm, and rational to come up and join our discussions about gaming and potentially be on live or recorded episodes of the podcast. But yeah, this was him hosting his podcast, The Show Radio Live, which you can find links in the description down below. But yeah, he was hosting this, and I wanted to preserve some of the audio to share with you guys here. We had a really great conversation and a really good discussion on the latest in gaming. So I hope you'll enjoy. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Check out my merch store on Spring. Link is in the description. You'll find apparel, homeware, accessories, pet stuff, and drinkware, all designed around my brand. I'm proud to sport this stuff myself, and I know you will enjoy it as much as I do. Profits from the merch store support the podcast and the YouTube channel. Take a look and see if anything suits you. I have a wide arrangement of colors and sizes, with many designs being rotated in constantly. Listen to the podcast and check in regularly for coupon codes. Thank you for your support.
I know we have a lot to talk about, especially in the last 24 to 48 hours in regards to gaming news and tech news. So this is going to be the show radio, the Twitter Spaces edition. We'll test this out and see, what kind of conversations we can have on this platform when it comes to, tech news, gaming news, not politics, not anything related to those things, right? So what's up, man? What's going on with you?
Dude, there are so many games to play as of this weekend. Lots of new stuff hit the shelves. Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and we have a lot of upcoming games to be excited about, even in the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I definitely wanted to touch on for sure was, I mean, we've been talking about Spider-Man for the last 2.5 weeks, give or take,
Yeah.
right? And I think that it's just one of those things where, because we know that it was going to be, iconic in so many ways, we're not necessarily surprised of how well it's doing, right? So I think that we just have to put that out there because we know Spider-Man is an iconic character. We've seen the comics, we've seen the movies, and now we're at a place now where the games are becoming even more iconic with the things that we're seeing and the things that we're experiencing, right? So I think the first thing I wanted to tackle, so before we tackle that, any thoughts on that before we talk about Spider-Man stuff?
No, I guess not.
Okay, cool. All
You
right,
gotta
so
talk Spider-Man.
so yeah, let's talk Spider-Man. So you've been playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so talk about your experiences there, and then we'll chime in and talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, without getting into like any spoilers or anything, I just want to talk about like mechanically what's changed with this game. Because of the PlayStation 5's SSD and the DualSense controller, I mean, you are soaring through that city at speeds that are unimaginable, and the world is beautifully rendered. You're not waiting for buildings to load in or textures or whatever, any of that stuff as you're soaring through the air. And they made the web swinging even more immersive and even more like what you see in the movies and the comic book pages and everything. And actually, they start you in the game with like sort of a web swinging assist, and that bar is like maxed out if you go in the options menu. And if you turn that down, it makes the web swinging more realistic, but also more difficult. So that's up to you, a choice you want to make. But that and some of the changes they made to combat, they've added new moves, new gadgets, and there's a parry system now, so you're not just dodging all the time. So I think that adds a lot of variety to combat and keeps things interesting a lot longer. So it's a beautifully crafted game. It's gorgeous. The writing's incredible. The voice acting, the motion cap scenes are incredible. I mean, every moment has you on the edge of your seat. And even when the pacing slows down, I think that's what I love most about the Spider Man games. When the pacing slows down and you're walking around as Peter or Miles or whatever, and you're just having conversations with people. You're not Spider Man. You're not fighting anyone or anything. Those moments are used to build up the world and the story, and they're just as exciting. Like most game developers would think that, the game needs to be nonstop action, start to finish, otherwise, it's not going to be a great experience. But those slow moments heighten the big moments. So, very key to notice that.
So when you were playing and you were checking out the stuff for Spider-Man 2, what caught you off guard based on from the first game to this game? Was there anything that was like dramatically like I did not expect to see this, but the fact that it's here, I'm pretty excited and happy about that.
Yeah, I think the parry thing caught me off guard because I didn't know that they were going to allow us to essentially do that if you just push the L1 button at a very precise time when your spidey sense goes red above your head. If you do it at that perfect time, then you'll launch sort of a counterattack, much like the Batman games, you would press Y or triangle and your Batman would automatically counter with something vicious. So now Spider-Man can do that. That was pretty mind-blowing. And just once I did the web wings, where he sort of puts those webs under his arms and he glides around the city super fast, flying like he's Superman. That moment was incredible, and I was like, you know what? It's about time we get a Superman game now that the tech has caught up. Spidey was getting knocked through skyscrapers and he was like crashing through the glass and like bashed through all the office, box complex, all this stuff, and he busts out the other window and flies across the city. Like these are the big moments that you see in big superhero movie fights, and finally it's translated to the video game space, which is pretty incredible.
No, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Yeah. So for me, I know we were talking about it before. I would say a couple of days ago, where when it comes to Spider-Man, because we have to wait, if especially if you're playing on PC, you have to wait for a while before you actually get the game, right? So we're talking. So Spider-Man just released on the 20th
Mhm.
of October, and we're going to be waiting for at least a year or a year and
Mhm.
a half to play it on PC, unless you have a PlayStation 5 and you pick it up on a PlayStation 5. Now, my thing is, I don't mind the waiting, right?
Yeah.
I really don't. I think it's good, the fact that we still have some games that could hold us over until we get to a place where, we're playing, those iconic games on PC, whether it's God of War or any other, titles. I think it's fantastic that we have the option to actually do that. So I'm excited about the fact that we're at a place now where, we are getting those incredible titles on PC, right? So yes, I know I do not have a PlayStation 5, but I'm excited for everybody that gets a chance to play these iconic games. And even with the sales that are happening currently on the platform, I think that's a fantastic thing as well. So I'm not against, anything that's happening in the space right now, because we always talk about, hey, play the game where you want to play it, love the experience where you want to have that particular experience. So I'm actually excited with the things that are happening in the space. So waiting a year and a half to play, Spider-Man 2 on PC, I'm not necessarily, pouting about that. I'm just excited that everybody's having a good time with all the stuff that they're doing, for sure. So that's where I'm at with that. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be ashamed either on that wait, because I mean, look back at what they did with the previous Spider-Man games. Once they hit PC, they had graphical enhancements, ultra wide mode stuff. They had all the outfits were already available to you, so you were getting all the DLC, all the full experience on day one on your PC, and it was a beast of a game to run on the PC. It's a gorgeous game. I guess one more thing I want to add, the thing that caught me off guard, like trying to think of bigger things, was the skill tree. They have a skill tree for
Yeah,
both
well, okay, so
Spider-Man.
before
Yeah,
before you go into the skill tree stuff, right? So when you think of the skill tree for, and I definitely want you to spend some time elaborating on this, right? So when you think
sure.
of the skill tree for Miles Morales Spider-Man and the current Spider-Man? Like, what's your take and thoughts on that with what you saw?
Yeah, like if we look back at those older games, like usually what you were getting was like a new move that you could do, or maybe like a new gadget was being unlocked and you were picking those. But this game just sort of, it gives you everything that you already had in the previous Spider-Man games. Like those moves are unlocked. Like stuff that I remember from Spider-Man and Miles Morales, like little combos or whatever, counterattacks, various things, the uppercut, being able to like pull people to you with your webs while you're in the air and slam them on the ground with a web swing and all these cool moves. If you remember those combos, you can just start doing those immediately, which was kind of mind blowing to me in the beginning. Most games will sort of make you repurchase, skills and stuff that you might have had in previous games as a way of progression. But this game really gives you a lot of that out of the box. But yeah, they have a skill tree for both Spider-Men, which a lot of that so far seems to be very traversal based. So lots of different iconic stuff you see in the movies where he like, you know, shoots some webs on two poles and pulls them back and swing shots himself, across the world really fast. And the PS5 is able to handle that. You're able to fly across this massive, gorgeous open world, and there's not texture pop in or any sort of graphical errors happening. Like that is so impressive to me. So the other thing is that of course each Spider-Man has their own skill tree. Peter has his own moves, Miles has his own moves, cuz Miles has the venom stuff, the electricity attacks, and he's got the camouflage, and Peter's got, sort of the iconic Spider-Man move set that you're used to. He's very athletic, he's very skilled in what he does. And Miles, I felt like in his previous game, he was learning how to be Spider-Man. He sort of had a style to the way he moved and the way he swung and stuff like that. And now you can tell there's a little bit of progression in his movement. He's a little less hesitant, he's a little more self-confident, and he's coming into his own. And so that's a really cool bit of progression there, is that they're not keeping Miles as Peter's little understudy. He's very much sidekick and above status. Whatever comes next after that. These two guys are equals. Supergirl is just as tough as Superman. Miles is just as tough as Peter, and they can both hold their own. And I think that's what his first game was about. Was like, hey, can you watch New York while I'm gone? And of course he can. He's got
Right.
every power
I
available.
love
So
that.
those skill trees are really impressive, man.
No, I love that. So we're talking about Spider-Man right now. Of course, the sales are doing extremely, extremely well. So I did see that tweet earlier today. If you want to join the conversation about the Spider-Man stuff, now would be the time. Take some requests. This is a tech and gaming conversation. We're not talking about politics here. If you have any thoughts on that, there's probably another room on X right now that's talking about that. But this is a tech and gaming conversation. So Spider-Man, we're talking about that right now. And I don't see any requests coming in regards to that. So we can continue the conversation right now. So when it comes to Spider-Man, Miles Morales, I know we are having a conversation maybe a couple of days ago before the game released on the 20th. I was saying to you, if they do not do a sale on Steam,
Mm.
right? I'm picking up Miles Morales on PC regardless of what's happening, right? So what ended up happening, what was it, like Thursday, around, it was kind of late, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to do it," right? And then you hit me up and you say, "Hey, there's a sale going on Epic Game Store right now." I'm like, "Really,
Yeah,
dude? Like
they
like
got you.
really?" They got me. They got me. So that wasn't necessarily, something I was expecting. And the reason that I picked it up on Steam was because of the G Cloud, us to, play on that particular device and stuff like that. So my thing is, for the individuals who are still considering even playing a Spider-Man game and they have not yet, and they do have a PC, and let's say they don't have a PlayStation 5, like myself, at least get the experience of just what that world is like, right?
Hmm.
Heading into, when you decide to get a PlayStation 5. I think it's exciting times for everybody. I know you're a big Alan Wake fan, so we'll probably touch on that at some point. And just excited for all the stuff that's happening. The beta for Call of Duty was really good. I got a chance to experience that, and gave out some codes during that particular time. Kind of sad that the beta closed, but it opened up just the excitement again for a game that's so iconic, and all the technologies that they have now to make the game even better than it was when we first played the game, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. So do you have anything that you want to touch on? I know Alan Wake is soon, right?
Alan
I
Wake is
remember.
very soon. I think it's like 4 days away now because it's the 27th. I'm so excited, man.
Okay.
Like, it's been a while.
Okay, so any thoughts on that before we jump into some other topics?
Yeah, like, so first of all, Alan Wake was like this big game on the Xbox 360, and I know it was just going through a lot of like rewrites and stuff as it was being developed. We saw a lot of sort of them establishing like the premise of the game, and they're like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Like, 360 is launching with all these cool titles, and Alan Wake looks really interesting. This is by the makers of Max Payne. Like, what are they gonna do next? There was so much excitement building, and I'm just like the hugest fan of everything Remedy does. Sam Lake, the guy who was originally Max Payne and all those uh, photographic images, and he was the character model in game. He's the lead writer. And so Alan Wake is this big thing, and it comes out as this horror game, and it's episodic. And, people kind of dog on the episodic idea, but actually, pacing wise, for a game session, it's actually really good. You sit down for maybe 2, 3 hours, you get through an episode, they leave you with a cliffhanger, and next time you can't wait to play. And just like your favorite TV show, they give you a recap. You come back in, and you're like, wow, I can't wait. And you're so excited. So it's
I
been
love it.
13 years since the first Alan
Has it
Wake.
really been that long?
Yeah, dude, they've been cooking on this one, I think, for a while. I think that's right.
Wow.
Um, and so it kind of broke our hearts when Sam Lake he came on with a video and was like, "Listen, guys, it's not the time for Alan Wake 2." And this was before Control came out, and he was like, we can't do Alan Wake 2 right now. We know it breaks your hearts as much as it's breaking ours, but we are going to come back to this world when it's the right time and place. And it seems like this is the right time and place. Like the performance of the game, the beautiful graphics that we're about to experience. This is going to be one of the biggest, like most gorgeous next gen games that we're going to have a chance to play. So it's going to be a big one.
I
And
love it.
so just
So
sort of,
before,
yeah,
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish that thought, and I'll just say
yeah,
something. Go
just
ahead.
sort of having to wait that long for just a little tease of like, because they leave us on a big cliffhanger. Is Alan ever gonna get back with his wife? Is he ever gonna escape the dark place? Like, what's gonna happen next? They left us on a big cliffhanger, so we're waiting on that, and the anticipation could not be higher, man.
Nah, I wanted you to have all the Alan Wake stuff because I don't know anything of that particular franchise. I know
Yeah, you're
that
too
is your
scared. I don't
jam.
know. Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't. Yeah, I'm too scared. I can't
No,
do any horror games and stuff like that. But I just want to say, for those who are here, all of you who are here, thank you for stopping by. Definitely testing out some things in Twitter Spaces with the Show Radio account. That way, I can come in and host a couple of conversations here when it comes to gaming, tech, and maybe some entertainment conversations. So shout outs to you. You could be anywhere else, but you decided to be here for a couple of minutes, or or more minutes, whatever that may be. So thank you for taking the time to do that. So we did talk about Spider-Man a little bit. If you're just tuning in, we don't have anything negative to say about Spider-Man. I mean,
nope.
if you do, I guess that's few and far in between, but you're not gonna get that here because we love everything that we're seeing. And although I can't personally experience it, I'm excited for all of you who are experiencing it. Whether you're doing the first Spider-Man or the current Spider-Man or Miles Morales, I just love the world and I just enjoy everything that's happening. So that was a conversation that we started with. And then, of course, I'm going to touch on the Pixel 8 Pro. I just picked it up. I don't know where you are in the world, but I'll say this. There is some great trading value right now, depending on the phone that you currently have. I traded in an S9, okay, and I got a $500 trade in value for that.
Wow.
So check in with your local, telecom, or what have you, what you call it, and see if there's a way for you to get, one of the dopest phones on the market right now. I know people love their S23s and their iPhones. This is my first Pixel phone, if you want to say that, since the G1. G1 was the first commercially released product, right?
Hmm.
For what I recall, with the Android software on it. This is my first one since then, and I think it was time to actually, make the move for that. So check the trade-in value for the things that you have locally to you. Maybe you have a phone that's been sitting there, but it may give you a great value for you to get that exchange. So a couple of thoughts there. So next thing that we have, anything else before we move? What are you thinking?
Oh man, there's kind of an interesting thing. We haven't heard about the Arc video game that they're sort of doing a remaster of the original Ark Survival Evolved. This one's going to be called Ark Survival Ascended. We're gonna hear about that pretty soon at Xbox's little partner preview that they're doing. So I'm actually really hyped for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because I have that in the notes as well. So one of the things I saw also related to Spider-Man, it
Hmm.
says here, when asked about the possible third Spider-Man game, Spider-Man 2's creative director, Brian Antihar, likened the sequel to the MCU's Captain America Civil War. Now, my thing is like that's just more excitement for the individuals who love everything that's happening with Spider-Man. So I wanted to throw that here in the conversation. Any bits that you want to share about that particular world when it comes to Spider-Man as it relates to upcoming games? I know people want a Venom game. Some people have shared that they may even want a Carnage game, which would be interesting if we even
Yeah.
see something like that. So any thoughts on that?
Man, they're just Insomniac has the freedom to sort of craft their own universe there, and expand the Spider Verse a bit more, however they want to. So I'm excited for all of it, man. And I know we're excited about this Wolverine game that Insomniac is working on. So I mean, anything that they do to tie into that and make their universe seem big and exciting, and if they're starting to compare the world to the MCU, then that's exciting for comic book fans everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Next thing I have is Fallout TV series launch date revealed. A brief teaser video posted on X, formerly Twitter, reveals the Fallout series release date, 12th of April, 2024. Any thoughts on that? You're excited about Fallout?
Yeah, I think from what I've seen of like set photos and stuff that they've revealed as they've gone through the process of creating the show, the visual vibe looks exactly right. Like what you're used to walking through in the video games, the vaults, the post-apocalyptic worlds, empty shopping centers, stuff like that. I think they've got some of that in the bag, but we've said this before with things like Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. They had the visual vibe, but did they land with the story, the character development, and stuff like that, the accuracy? We'll have to see.
Absolutely. Definitely. That's a news bit on that. Xbox partner preview. So I did see that you did briefly mention that. I'm going to open this up. This is actually happening
Yeah.
on the 25th, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the notes on that. So I'm actually going to open that up and just see a couple of things in this particular thing here. What time does Xbox partner preview begin? Wednesday, October 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And it talks about how do you watch youtube.com/Xbox, twitch.tv slash Xbox. I definitely want to touch on Twitch real quick in a second. So when it comes to this, of course, we're going to be able to see what's going to come in with that particular broadcast. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, a launch trailer for Alan Wake 2, Arc, as you mentioned, Survival Ascended, so that's happening there. A Social World of Dungeons of Hinterberg,
Mm-hmm.
and more, right? So that's what's happening on the 25th of October. So exciting things about that. So Twitch, right? Uh, I'm trying to figure out how I want to lead into this particular conversation as it relates to Twitch, right? Twitch is an interesting platform, man. Like when you talk about streaming platforms, Twitch has been, that purple, bleed purple and all that good stuff. And I get it, right? And then we
Yeah.
have all the other platform that has come up where whether you have the YouTube streaming stuff or you have the Kick streaming and even Twitter streaming once you set that up and check it out. I think it's pretty cool as well. So when it comes to when it comes to Twitch, even recently announcing the casting, right, the multicasting, how do you feel about that? Even though you're not necessarily streaming on the platform right now, what's your take on that stuff?
Yeah, man, I streamed on Twitch for about 7 years before I switched over to YouTube. So I have a lot of, a lot of fond memories there, and it's a great live streaming platform. So I think the fact that they went multi on this and realized, like, hey, people want to actually harness the power of multi streaming to bring more people to our site. That's a good thing, not a negative. So the fact that they realized that and decided to kind of turn around that decision where they were initially like, oh no, you can't do this, like, that's actually really good.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So Twitch. So have you done anything with kick streaming?
I think I have like a profile. I just kind of creep in and watch, what friends are doing. I'm not
Okay.
going into any crazy political things. I'm not going into any wild streams where illegal things are happening, but yeah, that's the experience.
No, I appreciate that. So we're not going to be too long-winded here. We are testing this platform for spaces, just news conversations that are happening in the tech and gaming space. If you have any thoughts about anything that we've already discussed, feel free to raise your hand. I'm still figuring out how that stuff works here, and then we'll tap in. Please keep the conversation surrounding tech and gaming. I would greatly appreciate that. If not, I don't see any hands or anything like that. We will, continue with the stuff that we have here. And once we wrap that stuff up, then we're gonna bid sayonara. We're gonna say goodbye, Godspeed, and all that stuff, and then we're gonna tap out. So the next thing that we have here, I'm gonna look real quick on the docket. I did see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's efficient development due to team chemistry. I definitely hear your thoughts on that, and then I'll share a couple of thoughts on that particular bit as well.
Oh, on Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of new to that world, so I bring maybe sort of a different perspective than, people that have been a part of that world since the old Nintendo PS1 days and stuff. Um, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I've been experiencing that as sort of someone that's new to that. And I've really enjoyed it. I'm starting to understand what everyone sees about all of the Final Fantasy games. It makes them so great and so interesting. The rich stories that they have, the characters that you sort of fall in love with, they start to become your friends. Um, and sort of the progression of leveling up and getting these new powers and these new weapons and sort of customizing your party to fight the way you want them to fight. That's, man, it's such a great experience, and they're opening up, the remake Intergrade as they call it now. The first part was really good, really rich, really beautiful, but this second part is gonna be a massive open world experience, and it looks like it's really detailed and really beautiful and massive, and that's just gonna take a lot of time out of our day.
No, I love that. I love that. Anything on your docket that you want to touch on that we haven't hit yet?
Man, I gotta talk about Super Mario Brothers Wonder if you don't have that on your
Yeah, let's
list.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Dude, man, it just shows the power that Nintendo has, not just in the form of nostalgia farming us a little bit. Every couple years or so, they drop another 2D Mario, and they do a 3D Mario. They drop a Zelda. All these, these are all expected things to happen. But I feel like with Wonder, they have finally taken their animation style and kicked it up a notch. Like, it's like watching your favorite cartoon. It's like watching the Super Mario Brothers movie. The way the characters move on screen, it's so organic and it's fun. And when you're going down a pipe, like, you don't just stand there like the original NES version of Mario. Because, I mean, that was the tech they had at the time. He stood there, he went down the pipe. There was nothing fancy. But in this one, he
Right.
sort of like stumbles his way down the pipe. Like, he kind of falls like a cartoon character. And he comes out the bottom of the pipe, and he's like, kind of awkward, and he just kind of spills out the bottom. Like, that's what's so cool about this, is that it's like they learned from the Super Mario Brothers movie the way that the characters were animated in that, and they brought that joy and beauty into the video game. And so it's just as much a joy to watch as it is to play.
No, that's I love that. So one of the things I wanted to touch on with the Final Fantasy VII stuff, and of course, I do see everything that you're saying with Wonder,
Hmm.
because I did post a video on my Twitter profile, just admiring the trailer and the things that we see with that particular game, right? Nintendo, we say every year,
Hmm.
and every year it's consistent that they're in the world of their own, right?
They
And they
are.
just masterfully release things for us to check out, and it's just one of the things that I just love about Nintendo. Even though I don't have any current Nintendo systems right now, I just love the fact that Nintendo still remains to be what we know them, right? Nintendo in their own world, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, right? So with the chemistry thing that Final Fantasy, uh, the notes that we have for Final Fantasy, one of the things I did see there was the fact that they mentioned chemistry, right? Chemistry is extremely important. I think one of the things that make the show radio work, I believe, is because of the chemistry that I have with Miss DJM, which is my co-host. She's been my co-host since episode 340. We're at 647, 648 right now. We're at you know that particular window. And I think that that wouldn't be possible without chemistry of a great co-host and a great team. And I think even conversations like this, when I talk to you about gaming and tech and stuff like that, we always have a great chemistry when we have those conversations. So shout outs to Miss DJM for sure. My co-host, definitely follow her if you're not. Follow Aaron. Aaron does a lot of streaming stuff. A lot of streaming stuff. I'm inspired by him because he does no, no, seriously, like
Yeah.
all jokes aside, man, I gotta give you your flowers because you stream a lot on YouTube, and it's something I definitely want to do. And you are continuing to inspire me as I, get ready to figure out what that schedule is going to look like for me to be on the platform, in a heavy way. And I think you've been doing a great job doing that. So shout outs to you and everything that you're doing with, your podcast and your platform and everything that you do on YouTube. So I got to give you your flowers on that. So yeah, so that's what's going on with that stuff. So appreciate you and shout outs to Miss DJM for being an incredible co-host. I just love her and everything that she is and who she is and who she's becoming for sure. So shout outs to her.
Thank you,
So
man.
what we
She's
have
incredible.
here, yeah, she's absolutely dope, man. So another thing I did see, and then I'll share this and then see if you have anything else on your side. Sony has just dropped another batch of brilliant soundtracks onto Spotify, right? So there's an account on X. I think that account is called RE Play, RAI playlist. And then that particular account basically tracks any game or anime soundtrack that's going to hit, the actual Spotify or Apple Music or other places like that. So it basically tracks all those things. So I mean, shout outs to them for doing that. So RE Playlist, I believe it's called.
Hmm.
And basically what you'll see there is any anime. If you're into anime music and all the stuff that world, just has, definitely pay attention to what they're doing there with keeping us, in tune with the playlist and things that are happening and enter that space. Any thoughts on that?
Honestly, that's dope, man. That's the coolest thing ever. That video game music has a spotlight and a special place where it can be found. Because, usually you just got to boot up that game if you want to hear that song. But this is so cool that it's available in a streaming platform where everybody can find it.
Absolutely. Anything that you have on your side that you want to tap in before we wrap?
Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, October 24th. That's tomorrow. What do you think about that,
Wow, that is
man? What do you think?
tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up right away because one of the things that I did see with that particular post or
Mm.
that particular news is that there's I don't know if it was a patch or a bug that they were talking about surrounding it. So I'm like, okay, let's let everything iron out before jumping into that. And for me right now is I'm just waiting for I'll probably wait for a deal for that.
Mm.
I think that we have the ability to just wait a little bit because we have such a backlog with all the other games that we play and stuff like that. So I'm not in a rush to necessarily pick it up. So there's that. And then the other thing too is what I've been hearing. Of course, we have to add Destiny into the conversation at some point, right?
Yes.
Just a little bit, right? So this auto rifle, the horror story, the new one, is one of the most sought after assault rifles right now. And if you haven't been playing Destiny for any, I'm gonna make this short because I could talk about Destiny for a long time. I'm gonna make this short. Okay. If
Sure.
you have not played Destiny and you're looking for an amazing auto rifle, this is the time. Okay. This is the time during this Festival of the Lost. And if it goes away and you start getting owned by it in PvP, don't be mad because
Oh, I
I'm
can't
sharing
cry.
with
I
you.
can't cry about it.
You can't cry because I'm sharing with you now that this is the time. And tonight I'm gonna start, seeing what God rolls look like. Dynamic sway, I think is one perk that you want, and then target lock, I think would be a good roll from what I've been hearing, and
Okay.
that's something that I'm going to test out myself to pick up before the Festival of the Lost is gone and Destiny 2. So that's my Destiny rant for today. I'm not gonna, you know, do too much of that. That's all we have there. Any other thoughts on your side?
Just a quick thing on that. How quick are you getting that assault rifle? Is it something they give you like at the beginning and then you grind to get better rolls of it, or what's happening?
I think you have to grind to focus, but I'm starting tonight.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely starting tonight, and I'm gonna get a god roll, at least two, maybe one PvP, one PvE, and then call it a day. But it's definitely something that I'm going to do before this Festival of the Lost is over.
Oh, absolutely. I want to talk about
Yeah,
one
man.
thing. I got one last big thing on the
Okay,
docket here. And I don't know if you played it, but RoboCop Rogue City had a demo a little while back. Did you hear about this?
I did, but that's all you. I think you streamed it, didn't you?
I did. And that's
Okay.
by Taeyon, if I got that correct. And they're published by Nacon. And so they've done some previous games in the past. They're kind of an indie dev. Like they did a Terminator first person shooter a while back. And so this is a RoboCop first person shooter. And not only did they get the actor who plays RoboCop on board for his likeness and his voice, but they got several of the other actors that play cops and stuff in the movies. They got their likenesses in there as well, and I think it brings like this wider conversation of when a game has like really good gameplay, which this does, I believe. Like it has first person shooter gameplay, it's just really fun. It takes you back to that era of when we used to play like the James Bond games, and they were just really
Mm.
fun first person shooters. They were level based. This one's got semi open world and detective work, that you're doing as well, and dialogue choices that you're making as RoboCop. So you have a chance to be a little witty and sarcastic and funny as you're, dispatching criminals and arresting people and stuff like that. Um, but it's sort of, because it's an indie game, it's a little rough around the edges, right? It's, maybe the voice acting at times is a little clunky, or, maybe things just don't have the polish of, say, what we're used to with like Call of Duty or Spider-Man 2 or something crazy like that. We can't, it's
Hmm.
unfair to make such comparisons, but it just goes to show the conversation around this game is really interesting, because I feel like everyone I've heard that's played it has been like, this game is so fun, I'm so excited for it. Whereas normally I feel like people would just dunk on this game for being like, kind of having older vibes of like a 360 PS3 era game or something, just having that modern graphics, but yet maybe sort of some of the gameplay and some of the awkward mechanisms of much older games. I feel like most people would just dunk on it. But it just goes to show that when you make something with love and you try to do your best and it comes out being actually fun, even if it's not perfect, we can still have good games. You don't have, not every game has to be the greatest game in the world like Spider-Man 2, Starfield, Super Mario Wonder, all these games that we're probably talking about game of the year over there, and not everything has to be absolute garbage. There can be space in the middle for experiences that players can enjoy.
Oh no, I love that. I think one of the reasons why we kind of miss a lot of these titles, whether it's RoboCop and some of the other titles that are really good, but because they're indie, we miss them, is because of the big budget games, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think we see that time and time again, where there are some things that go under the radar. They show up at an award show, and you're like, "Well, I didn't even hear about this game this year,"
Yeah.
right? So where was everybody playing this game, and were they even streaming it, and things of that nature? So I think that's really what happens when it comes to that. When it comes to those games that are really good. They're trying their best, great development. And it's the marketing, right? So if you look at even going back to Spider-Man 2, I think we can even do that, is, you look at the marketing for Spider-Man 2, I mean, whoever's on that team for the marketing for Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
it's amazing, right?
Yes.
It's no pun intended, right? It's just beautifully, you know, orchestrated for every single thing from the sneakers to being and New York and then promoting stuff there from the billboards to all the things that we've seen from the hype to the buzz to all the things that we've seen to Spider-Man 2. I mean, that's brilliant.
Did
Like,
you
and any
see
game may not have. Go
Did
ahead.
you see the truck in Australia? They had like a Spider-Man 2 truck that, looked like it was hauling copies of the game. It's like caught up in some web at a sidewalk. You might need to look
I
it up
I don't
online.
know if that was I don't know if that was Is that the one that was kind of flipped?
It's like a PR stunt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
did
they
see
had some
that. I
like
did see that.
some cops, like hired cops, actors, to be like, "Hey, people, stay back. This is a Spider-Man, thing." Like,
Yeah,
it's
I did
so
see that, and
cool,
and that's
dude.
the thing, right?
They're on
A
another
big
level.
budget like that,
Yeah.
definitely on another level. A big budget like that, most indie games may not have it unless you're partnered, with a bigger brand, and
Yeah.
you get, the love, the overflow from that particular brand, right? So I think that that's really what happens with that stuff, and we see it time and time again. There's a lot of games that we talk about on a regular basis, even though the game is a game that is a what do they call it, ongoing title, like a Destiny or any
Mm-hmm.
game that's a looter shooter like a Warframe, and we go down the list, or what's the other one, a Remnant of the Ashes, et cetera, et cetera. You start going down the list of all these ongoing games, why do we still talk about them, right? You know
There's
what I
there's
mean? And I
always
think it's
something new.
just
Yeah.
there's always something new, and they have the money to stay, top of mind. And that's what we see with a lot of these titles. And it is what it is. I think we're gonna play what we play anyway. We have our favorites, top one, top two, or whatever. And it's just the nature of the business. I did have something I wanted to mention here. Lords of the Fallen, the new Soul like from Hexworks and CI Games has sold 1 million copies in 10 days. So I don't know if you saw that bit of news.
Wow.
And I did see, so shout outs to them for that. And I did see another news from David Jaffe, who talked about something last night about someone potentially leaving. I didn't know if I don't even have that in the notes, but I did see it like on Twitter where they were sharing like a particular iconic uh, human being that was working for Sony that's no longer there. I think I'm going to see if I can pull up the name
Yeah.
again. Connie Booth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to throw that particular bit of news in the mix, just for the conversation. So PlayStation's head of internal production, Connie Booth, is reportedly no longer at Sony. Former Sony employee David Jaffe, who created the God of War and Twisted Metal series, tweeted on Sunday that there was some sad, frustrating, potentially super disrespectful news on the way that would mean the Sony we all came up with is mostly dead, and it is being said that allegedly, reportedly, or whatever the words are when it comes to these things, that Connie Booth is the person that is no longer at Sony. So we haven't seen or heard anything from Connie, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
any particular press release that is going to talk about that. Tuesday is the day where we usually get news when it comes to official stuff, right? We get
Yeah.
stuff on Monday, but Tuesday is usually the day, right?
Yeah, we'll get
So we'll see.
confirmations and stuff.
Exactly. Official press release on PlayStation, giving, the farewells and the Godspeeds and all those things. So we're going to see if that's going to be the case, maybe this week, Tuesday, or if it is even a real thing, by way of confirming or denying that, right? So I haven't seen anything from, I guess, her particular Twitter account stating anything. But
No.
one of the things that was mentioned is her catalog of work going back to Crash Bandicoot and a lot of iconic games, Ratchet and Clank, et cetera, that she's been a part of. She's been around some of the most iconic experiences that we've enjoyed over the years. And if she's really leaving, we may get those experiences in another place depending on where she lands if she's still going to be in the gaming industry, right? So all this stuff is alleged, reportedly, blah blah blah, right? So we're gonna
Yeah,
see how that plays out,
indeed.
and so that's definitely a bit of news that I wanted to add. Any thoughts on that on your side?
That's an iconic career that she has. That's a lot to be proud of. And I don't think it's the end of the world for Sony. Maybe there's a changing of the guard happening here, some people leaving their positions or retiring or various things, and maybe new ideas are coming in. So maybe, instead of taking it as a negative, maybe we should be inspired for the future of what Sony's doing. We should be inspired for what Microsoft is doing. They made a lot of changes on their end as well. So we should be excited for the future, I think. What do you got?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, as I was sharing before, is like once you leave one place and you go to another, your gifts and talents don't leave that place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe resources may take a while to get to you, but if you're going from one place that has a lot of resources to another place that has a lot of resources, and you bring your gifts and talents over to that place, like who's really winning, right? The
Yeah.
person that acquires that talent and has the resources to give them whatever they need for them to do whatever they have to do, right? So I don't think it's a loss per se, maybe a loss for that particular company,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, if the report is correct, right? But outside of that, my thing is like if she goes somewhere else and let's say she joins, Xbox,
Yeah.
right?
Could be.
They have, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they have the resources, and her gifts and talents will come into that particular picture and maybe re-energize, iconic franchises that we've loved over the years. Like, who knows? Like a Halo. Who
Yeah.
knows, right?
Halo
What's
needs it,
happening,
man.
with that? Exactly. So what if she left, right? We're just saying what if, right? What
Yeah.
if
What
that is the
if?
case
Mm-hmm.
according to the report? And then she ends up being, right next to, by way of working with Phil Spencer and working directly with what's happening with Halo. What do you think that's going to do to Halo? Right?
That would be an
Right. And I
interesting
think that's
move,
the thing.
man. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's the thing when it comes to these things. I don't think it's a loss. It may be time for didn't Pete Hines just move away, like,
Yeah,
to
that's a big
retire
one
from
for Bethesda.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
I
So we're
don't
seeing those
even I
things
can't
happen.
imagine how that affects things at Bethesda. It's got to be a big change, but I don't know if that's a loss either. I mean, maybe that also brings in room for new ideas. We don't know if he left in any sort of turmoil or in excitement for the future, or maybe a chance to relax and maybe take the foot off the gas pedal for a little while. There's always so much work being done at Bethesda, and their projects are very long term, right? Like a new Elder Scrolls only comes out like every 10 years, Fallout every 10 years, stuff like that. It feels like, you put in a huge chunk of your life into those projects. And so maybe that's what it is.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on it. When it comes to all this stuff, we just keep an eye on it. We watch the news. I'm gonna be interested. I'm really going to be looking at the news, especially for tomorrow. Any press release coming from Sony, official tweets and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be paying attention to that. But last but definitely not least, the Pixel 8 Pro, man, it's everything that people are saying it is.
Ooh,
I went to yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing phone, bro. Like everything about it, the way it works, it is it's seamless and it makes things a lot easier from like answering your calls to the software. Of course, they mentioned that they're going to have 7 years of OS updates to the AI stuff that's going to be beneficial to a lot of people and how they're going to incorporate AI into their system from the picture taken, from the video that I posted recently
wow.
on my feed on Sunday. Bro, it's everything. It's
So this
everything.
phone
Whether you
has
do the
staying
8,
power. It's
this
not like
this
iPhone
phone
where it's like you got to buy a new one every year if you want the latest tech. They're
Bro,
they're riding this one.
this phone is everything they're saying it is,
Oh
right?
my
So
gosh.
I'll say that, right? So whether you do the Pixel 8 or you do the Pixel 8 Pro, I think you are going to be a very happy human being. That's my personal opinion. Now, I'm coming from a phone that is just as powerful, has Android on it, but is not a Pixel phone. So I'm coming from a red.
Wait, I lost you. Are you there? Check, check. Think we lost a little audio, maybe. Anyone give us like a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear us? Just let us know. Or a thumbs up in your reactions, as it were. Yeah, he was talking about the Google Pixel though. Really interesting phone. I'm someone that's kind of stuck in the iPhone land. I have a lot of investment in iTunes as far as my music library goes, but I kind of want to. I really do want to try a phone like that. You know, a lot of the features are very robust. What they're doing with AI is pretty incredible. Interesting features that they have there. I know he was talking a little bit about Halo as well. Halo Infinite just dropped season 5, Reckoning, which has added some Forge features that allow you to create AI for, either the Covenant or your troopers. You can sort of script AI to sort of create a campaign type level where you can say, oh, the Covenant's going to attack the players now. And then, the little troopers that team up with Master Chief or whoever will be, going this way, and they'll go get in the Banshee or whatever, whatever it may be. That's just really interesting and really powerful. Something cool that they've added to this. Forge has become really powerful in a way to sort of extend the life of the game. Players are able to take that into their hands and recreate beloved levels from the franchise with their own passion and their own art style, and secrets that they perhaps want to add to the level. That's really cool. But yeah, the ability to sort of make campaign levels is going to be really interesting. People might make a zombie invasion mode. I know that there's some people that are making uh, a battle royale mode. I don't know why that lost me for a second. But yeah, they wanted to make it to where you're going to come down in drop pods and land on the ground, and then, you'll scavenge for weapons or whatever, and there will be AI enemies that you have to defeat. There will also be players you have to defeat. Really interesting stuff that Halo Infinite is able to do with its multiplayer, as well as big part of Season 5 is the Flood armor. So it's like kind of a Spartan armor that has a little bit of Flood corruption on it. It looks like a sort of a zombie Spartan looking thing. Pretty cool. Andrew, you there? I think he's getting things on his end back up. But yeah, just talking a little bit about Halo Infinite. If you guys have anything to add on that, it's a game that's, it kind of launched, and I think some people might have been upset with the state of the game. But I've played the multiplayer from the start, and I'm not a big Halo multiplayer guy, but I've had so much fun with the way the game feels and the way it plays and the amount of work that they put into it season to season. It's hard to keep up with the battle pass and unlock all the armor and all the different stuff, the customizations that I want to have in the game. But they've done some really cool stuff, from Halo Reach armor to what they're doing now with the Flood armor, having that sort of zombie accent to the armor that, sort of looks battle damaged, and looks like the Flood is overgrowing on the armor. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. We just talked a little bit
Yeah.
about the Pixel 8, and I wanted to ask you a little bit on that, and then I just kind of ran it on Halo 5's latest season as well, or Halo's fifth season.
Yeah, that the Reckoning that looks amazing as well. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm learning these bugs with Twitter
Oh,
Spaces,
dude.
so we're gonna learn,
Hey, I'm glad
because it
you
got
recovered,
quiet.
man. That shows your skill in this space and that you know what you're doing. You can, when tech problems happen, we know what we can do to get back on.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. Yeah, so what's going on, man? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I want to ask you about the Pixel 8 cuz I've always been fascinated with what Google does with their phones. Google is dope in a lot of different ways. They own YouTube, they own the two largest search engines in the world. They have some of the greatest tech out there. What feature would you say about the Pixel? What's so unique about it that maybe sets it apart from the iPhone, the Samsung, all these different phones? What to you has been distinguishing or like that feature that you're like, wow, this is so cool. I'm so excited to use this.
I think I think it's always been about the ecosystem for me, but I think that is a very easy answer.
Mm,
But for me, the thing that really drew me to getting the Pixel 8 is the way that they're going to incorporate AI into an ecosystem that is already fluid when you're using their phones, right? So if you ever use an Android phone in any capacity, the software in the Android phone is probably one of the most not the word I'm looking for is like in terms of like the modifications that you could do
mm-hmm.
for the customizations that you could do. I think that's extremely attractive. And I think the beauty of the Pixel phone is it is the purest form of the Android software with no bloatware, and how Google is going to make sure that that is going to be seamless with their ecosystem. So they really want you to buy their phone to experience the full fluid version of what an Android phone has to offer, coupled with the fact that they have a seamless VPN in Google One. Couple that they have the new chip, which is the G3 version of their chip, for security purposes. Coupled with the fact that the ecosystem is one that is seamless across the board with anything that you do with Google, which I know it's like that with Apple as well. But it's just, and then on top of that, having a camera system that is pretty amazing, and the software itself is one of the most sought after. If we're really trying to have a real conversation about like spec to spec. You
Yeah.
know, there are phones that are going to outdo the phone in spec. So in terms of storage, it's not the most storage that I've had on a phone because the 7 Pro for Red Magic has 500 gigs. The Pixel 8 Pro has 128. That's the one that I picked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of RAMs, it has 12 gigs of RAM, which is plenty. But for the Red Magic, I think it has 16 or 18 gigs of RAM, right? With a built-in and that phone has a built-in fan to keep it cool, right? So when it comes to like, tech and stuff, and these are
Wow.
my two main phones, right? So when it comes to, trying to make a phone uh like a great experience, every Android phone is trying to chase the the cleanest, purest form of Android on a phone, right? And the top tier of that stands alone is the Pixel phone. Other phones that will come close would probably be like the OnePlus phone and any other phones that come in with their software as pure and unbloated as possible. But when you're talking about the phone that completes the entire thing by way of seamless technology, AI, updates, which they're promising 7 years of OS updates, and Google Maps and all the things that we enjoy on other phones, but it works differently on this phone. And even like when you're talking on the phone, there's like ways for it to adjust the volume so the people can hear you better in the software, not with headphones, in the software, right? And of
Mm.
course you have stuff like the magic that you could erase, the stuff off the pictures. That feature is going to be enhanced on a Pixel phone versus other Android phones. So they
Do
make
YouTube
sure
create?
that their phone is going to be the premier experience to do stuff on a phone. Just like, certain games on certain platforms, they make sure that that experience is premium on that particular platform versus any other places that you play the title, right? Why would you play COD on a console versus a PC, right?
Yeah.
And you start then right. So then you kind of like answer that. It's like that's obvious, right?
Yeah. There's reasons,
Because
man.
right.
That's
Exactly, and what Pixel is doing with their phones, and believe me, I was talking about the stuff like this even before I got the phone. So this is not promo just because I
yeah,
got the
just cuz
phone
you got
and I
one.
didn't right, and they didn't send me the phone. I bought the phone. Big
yeah.
difference. This is not a gift from Google ad, right? They didn't I bought the phone, right?
Yeah.
So having, purchased that and the other thing too with the other argument that could be played with that is well, just because you didn't buy the phone didn't mean you didn't work for it. I get that, but I'm just letting you know that this is not an ad because they sent me the phone, right? So covering all those argument points out of the way, it is an amazing product and it's going to be fantastic to see what they do with it in the near future by what enhancement that they're going to do with the software, and hopefully the individuals who are not necessarily using a Pixel phone, they could enjoy those experiences later. And of course, like the newest version of the OS is going to release on the Pixel first before it's distributed on other phones like that. So there's a lot of things, gesture, how you move through the menus,
Mhm.
the way the phone sounds. I mean, the quality of the calls. I mean, bro, we can go down the list. Like, this is it, bro.
I like it,
This is
dude.
it. This is it, dude. Like, if you're looking for a phone and you're like, hey, I want to try an Android phone, even if you were to do like a 8 or 7 Pro or anything along those lines, if particular budget, you're trying to do, if you have phones you could trade in, like, bro, I don't regret doing it. I really don't regret doing it. Like, it's like I'm looking at these phones because they're both because okay, so to give you a picture, like the Red Magic Pro is running the Twitter Space, right?
Yeah.
So my phone, the Pixel is in my right hand or my right side, right? So these are probably going to be my two main phones, going forward. So if I'm going to run the Twitter Space, I'm probably going to open it up with the Red Magic Pro and then get in the room, blah blah blah, do all that stuff, right? So these are the phones now, both Android, both updated, both powerful phones, both have a lot of RAM, both have Google cameras. I can just swap between the two of them, depending on what I need to do, and they're going to be my go-tos moving forward. All my stuff is in the Google ecosystem, so seamless between the two devices, whether I use Twitter on one versus the other and stuff like that. And I think that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the way it should be, depending on what you're trying to use, because you want to get the best out of your experience for something that you carry every single day, right? Our phones are on us every single day, and even when I was talking to my wife, I was like, hey, at some point the S9 is not going to serve you anymore. You might as well just jump into a Pixel experience, and she ended up getting a Pixel as well. And I was like, you
Oh.
know what, it just makes sense. I'm getting one too. So, I picked up mine and stuff like that. And it's been dope, man. It's been dope. And this is only what, day 3? I got it Saturday. Yeah, I got it Saturday.
I gotta
So
say, the
this is like
audio
fresh.
quality is really strong. Like, I thought you were on your computer with your studio
No, I'm on
microphone.
the
This
well,
is
I
a
am.
mobile
I'm on my
phone? Get out
computer.
of here.
No, I'm on my computer. I'm on
That's
my
crazy.
computer right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the adapter, the
Yeah,
USB to 3.5 millimeter jack adapter, and test that out this week.
you
But no,
should.
I'm
That's
on
cool.
my PC right now, which is why I launched, from the TSR
From
account
that.
on the Red Magic Pro,
It's
so I
dope.
can use, my mic, on here on the platform. But no, in
Okay.
terms of like the actual calls themselves on the phone,
Mm.
it does sound different, and even how the personal assistant answers the call. It says, "Hey, I'm the personal assistant for blah blah blah. What is the nature of your call?" And then you
Ooh.
say it, and then on the yeah, bro, like, dude, all
Oh
that, bro,
no. Come
all
on. Not a
that,
secretary.
yes,
I gotta
bro,
haggle with before I can talk to Andrew. That's crazy.
dude. It's all of that is like super dope, man. And you just got to give them props for doing what they're doing. And now that I have it. I think one of the things that I want to do is go back and watch their keynote, for it,
Yeah.
and pay closer attention to some of the features that they were talking about within the keynote. And I'm like, okay, so how could this benefit me on a regular basis, whether it's through content, creating videos for YouTube, or shorts, or creating videos for X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And I think that that stuff is going to be super dope moving forward for a phone that I know I'm gonna have for a long time. Cause bro, like the S9, I don't even remember when the S9 came out. They gave me $500 trade-in value for that. That's ridiculous. That's
Wow.
crazy.
That is, yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. So if you
a lot of
keep your
value.
phone and you protect your phone, you never know like what kind of trade-in value you're gonna get for it in the future. So yeah, so that's my rant. Pixel Pro, Pixel 8 or 8 Pro, depending what you get, I think you're gonna be happy. And those are my thoughts on that. Any thoughts on your side?
One additional thing, you have something unique in your hand with that because the new YouTube Create app, which is a new app that they're testing specifically on Android right now. That's going to be a new app that allows you to easily edit your videos and shorts from your phone. It's going to be a little more powerful than the typical YouTube app for editing your shorts and audio and videos and stuff like that. I'm curious to see if you'll have some time to download that. I think it's in like a beta or something, some sort of demo status over there. But
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah, I
see
could I
as you
could
do your
definitely
YouTube
download that.
stuff. Yeah, download that and see what's going on over there. Because as an iPhone guy, I gotta wait, until they're done testing that before they fully launch the app for everybody. But that's gonna be a game changer, man.
Yeah, I have it on here. I'm gonna sign into it. Uh, and and yeah, we can definitely do some stuff on here for sure. Yeah, I mean it's exciting, man. Like
It
I love
is.
all this stuff when it comes to technology, which is why I'm like, hey, since I have the two accounts on Twitter,
Hmm.
we can jump on here real time and then talk about some of the things that are going on. I don't know what the frequency of this show is going to be, but definitely follow the accounts, follow me, follow the TSR account, and definitely follow Aaron if Aaron resonated with you, and I'm sure he did. He offers a lot of value and insights and the things that are happening in gaming. Show him the love as well. But yeah, so that's all I got. What do you got, man? Anything you want to add before you close?
Man, I appreciate everybody coming by and being a part of the conversation, listening in. If you found any of this valuable or interesting, I have a podcast as well. I got a YouTube channel, a whole bunch of other stuff. I got a website, aaronshack.com, where I'm publishing gaming reviews and news. I keep my photography blog there as well. And just pretty much everything I'm doing can be found on that website. Appreciate that. Thank you
No,
for having me,
absolutely.
man.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, man. We're gonna do this anytime that if I have a lot of notes, we're gonna pull up. I think this is gonna be, a great journey. Yeah, to see exactly this platform and what it offers, by way of conversations, and as people get to see the stuff that we're going to share, they'll be welcome to join the conversation and stuff like that. So I mean, that's all I have. Definitely follow us. Show us that love. We do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today, and we're looking forward to doing this again really, really soon. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day today. Be kind, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye. Remember that the best way to support the channel is to sign up for a membership on the YouTube channel. Members get exclusive channel badges to highlight their continued support over the months and years. As a member, you get access to special emojis expressing a variety of emotions and support for the channel. Members will also receive photo and status updates, early access to select videos, and at higher tiers, access to a members-only Discord channel. Your support is what keeps the Shackcast photography blog and the YouTube channel going. Please like and share the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on a video or a Shackcast episode. Thank you for tuning in.